Interesting looking at slow motion footage requires two things: a subject that moves around a lot and lots of light. Luckily, fires provide us with both of these. They move around like crazy random things, and they also are their own light sources, so we don't need to be somewhere with lots of ambient light to produce something that looks really interesting. This phone is a really good choice for slow motion because it shoots full HD in slow motion, and so all you need to do is select the mode and find something that moves around a bit. Composition, as ever, is absolutely everything, so we want to make sure that we've produced a frame that looks tidy all on its own and we're not relying on the action to give our frame a sense of kind of togetherness. Filming this, apart from making sure that my fingers don't get burned, is pretty simple. We want to find a composition that we like the look of, which is going to be something roughly here without getting too near to everything. We need to make sure with this frame that we're just focused properly. So if we can tap on an area of detail, that's going to make sure that things are nice and sharp. And once we're happy with everything, hit go. A little bit of camera movement is okay, but obviously try not to be waving around all over the place. Thing to remember with slow motion is that the finished film that you make is always going to be much longer than your actual take, than the clip that you actually film in real time. So about 10 seconds is going to be perfect. If you go shooting very long takes, your resultant slow motion clips are going to be super duper long and people aren't going to sit through them. So 10 seconds is about perfect. So if we have a look back at some of the footage that we shot, you can see why fires and flames make for such great slow motion subjects. There's just loads of energy and life coming off all of the fire. You can see the steam and the gases coming off this log here that you never really catch that if you were just looking. I'm not an enormous fan of the composition of this frame just because we've got this really hard diagonal of the cast iron grate across the bottom there. I think we could have probably framed up a little bit more nicely, but this is a great starting point. This middle frame is a fantastic example of why you need to be really careful, especially when you're working close to anything, of being really watchful of how your frame is focused, because you can see here there is no sharpness anywhere in the frame from front to back. The whole thing is a blurry mess, and that's just me not being careful enough when I was framing up and getting my focus set up, and the camera's just kind of dropped focus and we've come away with something that's not really worth the time. This final frame, I think, is exactly what I was trying to get hold of. It's lovely and sharp, the composition is nice and clean, and the way that the camera has exposed for the flames means that there's no overexposure in the flames themselves, but also the top half of my frame is much darker. It's moodier, it's more colourful, you get a lovely kind of orange and yellow and red hue across the bottom there. I think it works really well. The only thing that I would do with this video now is maybe give it a trim. This is only a 10-second clip, and you can see that it's come out as a 30-second piece of slow motion footage, which is still going to be far too long. People are not going to stick around that long. So if we gave it a good trim and cut it down to maybe 5 or 6 seconds, I think we'd come away with exactly the fire that I had in my head.